Have you ever felt like you're carrying a grief that isn't even yours? Do old wounds and emotional traumas refuse to heal, turning you inward with chronic sadness? Are you struggling to move past a significant loss, feeling constantly anxious or cut off from joy? If you answered yes to any of these, you are confronting a major karmic lesson in your birth chart. And today, we're going to use Vedic astrology to find the key to your emotional freedom. So, hello and welcome, sensitive souls, back to my channel. Today, we are going deep. We are talking about the kind of pain that sits in your bones. It's known as grief and emotional trauma. This isn't just a bad mood or a tough week. This is about the unresolved wounds from the past, such as loss, betrayal, or deep emotional crises that you just can't seem to let go of. So if you carry a constant low-level heartache, or if you feel haunted by old memories and resentments, your birth chart is showing us exactly why. This trauma sits in the darkest corners of your chart, ruled by the planets of pain, release, and deep transformation. The moon, Ketu, and the 8th house. In this powerful video, we're going to use Vedic wisdom to identify the source of your deepest pain and give you the spiritual tools needed to stop carrying the past. We're going to learn how Ketu, the greatest isolator, can actually become your best teacher in turning pain into profound wisdom. So, let's begin the journey towards genuine, lasting emotional release. So let's talk about the first part of this, which is your emotional core. Our emotional life is entirely governed by moon, also known as the Chandra. The moon rules our mind, our feelings, our comfort, and our security. When we experience emotional trauma, it is the moon that bears the brunt of the attack, leading to anxiety and instability. So let's go to the first part about the afflicted moon. So we're not just identifying the problem. We're going to give you the daily emotional first aid. When the moon is afflicted by malefics, such as Saturn, Mars, or the nodes like Rahu and Ketu, it creates various forms of deep, persistent emotional pain. Let's talk about Moon and Saturn conjunction. This is the signature of a chronic depression, isolation, and persistent fear. Saturn restricts the emotional flow of the moon, making it difficult to feel joy and leading you to internalize all your pain. You often feel alone in your sadness. So what's the remedy? Well, you need to honor Saturn's discipline, but reject its isolation. The remedy is serving the vulnerable, donating your time or resources to help the elderly or the poor. Helps redirect Saturn's energy of restriction towards compassionate service, which lightens the moon's burden. Let's talk about the next one, Moon-Mars conjunction. It leads to volatility, anger, and sudden crisis. Mars burns the moon, causing emotional agitation and making you prone to arguments or cutting off relationships suddenly, which actually prevents deep healing. The energy of Mars is fire, and it boils the gentle water of the moon. So what's the remedy? You must channel the Martian fire safely. You should engage in intense physical activity like running, martial arts, or high-intensity workouts to discharge the excess anger. Mars is action. Give it a constructive outlet so it stops burning your mind. Let's talk about moon and debilitation, so moon in Scorpio sign. A moon in Scorpio experiences life's inevitable pain as profound, almost spiritual trauma-like. It creates an inability to let go, clinging desperately to the past and generating suspicion. So what's the remedy? you should practice the moon gaze and water ritual. On a full moon night, sit and gaze at the moon. Drink water that has been left in a silver or vessel overnight if you like. But this practice strengthens the moon's cooling, receptive, and nurturing nature. Also, it stabilizes your mind. The moon shows where we seek comfort, right? If your moon is weak, you seek comfort in unhealthy ways. By addressing these planetary needs, we lay the foundation for healing. Now, let's move to the second part about the house of crises, which is the 8th house. This is perhaps one of the most challenging, yet the most rewarding sector of your chart, of any chart. The 8th house rules sudden events, crises, and deep psychological transformation. 8th house is transformation. It is the house of wounds, the inherited traumas, and the hidden knowledge. Planets placed here often indicate the type of deep emotional pain or sudden loss you came into this life to resolve. Let's talk about the nature of the 8th house pain. If you have planets here, particularly malefics like Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu, the trauma is often deep, non-rational, and hard to talk about. It feels like a secret wound. Your chart is asking you to learn about your own psychic endurance. Now, if a benefic planet like Venus or Jupiter sits here, it means you have the resources to find the meaning in the pain, but the pain itself can still be intense. If a malefic like Mars or Saturn is here, the pain is often sudden, deeply shocking, or prolonged. The 8th house is where you confront the karmic baggage of your family and past lives. The emotional trauma you are holding may not even entirely belong to you. It may be an inheritance that you must clear. This is where you learn to let go of control. So what is the 8th house remedy? You should engage in therapeutic inner work that honors the depth of this house. It's a well. This includes deep, private journaling, past life regression, or working with a certified therapist who specializes in trauma. You must bring the hidden 8th house things into the light. The 8th house teaches us that loss is inevitable, but suffering is optional. When you face an 8th house crisis, like a sudden loss, your chart is forcing you to transform, to shed the skin of your old self. The way to appease this house is to voluntarily surrender things you cling to, making the transformation conscious rather than reactive. So now, let's talk about the third part of this, where we get to the most misunderstood planet in this whole dynamic, which is Ketu. It's the south node. Ketu is a planet of isolation and detachment. Most people fear Ketu because it forces separation. Let go, right? But let's go to the third part about Ketu's gift of release. Ketu is here to teach you that you must spiritually let go of things that are already over. Be it a relationship, a resentment, or a past trauma. Ketu forces the separation, and while the physical or emotional separation is painful, the detachment it brings is the cure for the emotional clinginess of the moon. If Ketu is connected to your moon or 8th house, it creates an intense, almost spiritual detachment from material comfort. You may already have an innate talent for deep introspection, but also a tendency to retreat into your own pain, replaying the trauma loop over and over, hurting yourself. So the solution is radical acceptance. So to appease Ketu, you must engage in radical acceptance. Accept that the event happened. Accept the pain. Stop fighting the reality of the loss. Here's some remedies. Conscious solitude. Instead of allowing Ketu to isolate you painfully, choose solitude consciously. Dedicate time for meditation daily. Even 5 minutes of focusing on the breath satisfies Ketu's need for withdrawal and turns painful isolation into purposeful liberation. Second part is ground yourself. Do the meditation for your root chakra that represents grounding, and it will help you in resoluting that painful isolation that you're experiencing. That will help you with the Ketu's harsh energy, and it will find resolution to emotional blocks. The next remedy is spiritual detachment. Practice the philosophy that nothing in this world belongs to you permanently. Not your relationships, not your possessions, and not even your pain. This is Ketu's highest wisdom. All right, so what does this whole thing mean? We've discussed the afflicted moon, the crises of the 8th house, and the gift of Ketu, along with powerful remedies for all of them. Now let's wrap up with the profound meaning of this karmic lesson. Your journey through grief is your soul contract to move from a reactive emotional life to a deeply wise and transformative one. This pain you carry is simply unprocessed energy. By applying the things I told you, you honor the moon's need for comfort. You complete the 8th house transformation, and you appease Ketu by embracing spiritual detachment. The true goal is not to forget the pain, but to transmute it, to transform the lead of suffering to the gold of wisdom. This is the ultimate 8th house alchemy. So before you go, here is your action assignment today. Find 5 minutes today for complete conscious silence. No phone, no music, no distraction. This is your Ketu meditation. Then tell me in the comments, which planetary affliction, moon with Saturn conjunction, moon with Mars conjunction, or Ketu in the 8th house, do you feel is most driving your unresolved emotional pain? And if you'd like to connect with me to deep dive into your own chart, into your own personal chart, you can connect with us via the link in the About section. And as always, knowledge is meant to be shared. Do go ahead and share this video with someone who you think needs it. And if this video helped you, please feel free to hit subscribe, hit like, and hit the bell icon for notifications into my future videos. And thank you for taking this deep dive with me, and thank yourself also for watching it. Until next time, embrace your transformation.